Florida is one of the most popular tourist states within the United States. They are well known for their numerous famous tourist attractions such as Disney World, Daytona Speedway, and the Kennedy Space Center. They are also well known for their numerous recognizable cities such as Miami, Orlando, Jacksonville, and Tampa. For many years, however, there has never been a quick and efficient way to travel between all these cities. Then come 2018, Brightline begins operation. Brightline is an intercity passenger train in the making that will be a vital connection to all of these major cities within the coming decade. Although Brightline does not serve all these cities yet, they are making steady progress towards making the stream become a reality. In this video, I will be talking about Brightline and why it would make for an amazing US passenger route in TSW2. I do not own any footage within this video. All rights go to their respective owners. All footage in this video will be linked in the description. With introductions out of the way, let's get right into what the up and coming Brightline is all about. Brightline is an intercity passenger train that travels between Miami and West Palm Beach. What is currently in operation of the route is approximately 70 miles containing 3 stations. Construction is also underway to extend the route to Orlando, Tampa, Disney World, and Jacksonville. It is the first and only private rail operator in the United States, being operated by Florida East Coast Industries. It is the newest operator in the country, only beginning operations in January of 2018. Brightline suspended operations in 2020 after COVID-19 broke out in the United States, but recently resumed operations on November 8, 2021. Most of Brightline runs on the Florida East Coast Railway. Over $1.5 billion has been invested in upgrades to the current corridor to double track the line, upgrade signaling systems, and upgrade all railroad crossings along the route for the highest possible safety standards. The route primarily travels through numerous residential and commercial areas. This route is very picturesque, with trains traveling through numerous famous cities within Florida and travels relatively close to the Atlantic Ocean. This route is very different from other routes that travel through dense areas like Brightline. Trains will be traveling in and out of some of the most modern stations ever built in America, such as Miami Central and Orlando International Airport. The full route length between Miami and Orlando is 240 miles, so I have broken up the line into 2 sections. Starting with what is currently in operation, Miami to West Palm Beach is approximately 70 miles and has a total of 3 stops. 2 additional stops are planned to be added to the corridor in 2022 at Aventura Mall in Boca Raton. The top speed of this part of the route is 79 miles an hour. The total travel time is approximately 1 hour. As mentioned before, trains will be traveling through various picturesque cities within Florida. Trains will also travel directly underneath Fort Lauderdale International Airport, leading to some really interesting scenery. The entire line is equipped with positive train control, allowing for dispatchers to monitor and control trains' positions along the entire corridor to prevent accidents. Brightline's primary rolling stock are Siemens chargers. However, these chargers are significantly different from the ones used on operators such as the Pacific Surfliner. Each consist runs with 1 locomotive at each end and pulls 4 Siemens Venture coaches. The specific charger model in question is the SCB-40. It has a streamlined appearance to match the Venture coaches. It has a top speed of 125 miles an hour and has a maximum power output of 4,000 horsepower. Just like the SC-44, the SCB-40 uses a Cummins QSK-95 prime mover, a raised letter K5LA, and an E-bell. Brightline currently owns 5 train sets, meaning they have 10 chargers. Between 2021 and 2023, Brightline will be purchasing 5 more train sets and 1 additional locomotive with the introduction of the extension to Orlando. What is also cool is that each train set is different. Each set of Venture coaches uses a different color. Currently, there is a red set, an orange set, a green set, a blue set, and a pink set. During the weekdays, there are a total of 17 round trips, meaning there will be 34 mainline passenger services. Brightline also has a maintenance facility just outside of West Palm Beach. This would most likely add additional services from West Palm Beach to the depot. In total, I could see no more than 50 total Brightline services. Freight also runs on this line. Freight is performed by the Florida East Coast Railway, traveling between Miami and Jacksonville. There will be a mix of mainline and local traffic running along the line. Trains will be coming in and out of Miami Hialeah Yard, located just a few miles off of the main line. There is also a port in Fort Lauderdale called Port Everglades that trains serve as well. Although there are no major yards within West Palm Beach, there is a small yard located next to Brightline's maintenance facility that would be served by local traffic. Mainline trains would have to stop at a signal or siding within this area of the route for full-length runs to be possible. The primary mainline services you would be playing on this route are Hialeah Yard to West Palm Beach and Port Everglades to West Palm Beach. Local trains will be serving the main yards and various facilities along the route. Most mainline trains seen on this route are primarily intermodal and rock trains with some manifest. This would be a great opportunity for DTG to include flat cars pulling trailers, as these are seen on most intermodal trains. Rock trains are also commonly seen on this line, primarily carrying limestone. Due to the sheer weight of these trains, tracks and bridges have to be in strong condition to support these trains. Tracks were completely modernized to have continuously welded steel track, concrete ties, and high quality ballast made of granite. The FEC has some of the most unique operations within the country. But first, let's talk about the locomotive fleet. For mainline traffic, FEC uses the General Electric ES44C4. Unlike the ES44AC from Horseshoe Curve, the ES44C4 complies with Tier 3 emission standards. The locomotive also only has 2 traction motors per truck, unlike the typical 3 for the ES44AC. FEC ordered 24 of these units in 2014 and are still running to this day. For local and shunting traffic, FEC primarily uses the EMD SD40-2, GP38-2, and the GP40-2. SD40s, GP40s, and occasionally GP38s will be seen trailing on road trains with an ES44 leading. GP38s are primarily used for shunting within the major yards and occasionally serve as local trains. Most local traffic, however, is done by the SD40-2. Both the ES44 and the SD40-2 use a red, yellow, and black livery known as the Champion livery. SD40-2s also use an ex-Union Pacific livery, as the SD40s originally came from Union Pacific. The GP38 and GP40 primarily use a retro blue livery. Moving back to freight operations on this route, the FEC does many things differently than other freight operators in the United States. FEC has a system that is known by some as the Prime Railroad Right-of-Way. The railroad is operated by centralized traffic control with constant radio communication, along with being operated on precise schedules to prevent delays of Brightline trains. Most of the route is relatively on flat land, meaning trains get to travel at 60 miles an hour on average. Moving back to the ES44C4, the operations of this train are also a first of its kind in the country. In 2015, FEC experimented on their ES44s to operate with liquefied natural gas instead of traditional diesel fuel to reduce operating costs and increase efficiency. It turned out to be a major success, leading to ES44s burning much cleaner fuel. Whenever ES44s are run in pairs, an LNG fuel tender is placed in between the locomotives, providing fuel to both of them. This would be really unique and interesting to see within TSW, as there is nothing like this anywhere else in the country. The fuel tender could lead to some really interesting gameplay for freight traffic. In terms of how many services I could see if DTG included freight, I could see about 10 to 20 mainline freight services, 5 to 10 local freight services, and 10 to 25 shunting services. Adding these with Brightline services, I could see about 75 to 105 total services on this route. Now, if I was only able to pick one freight loco to come with the base pack on this route, I think DTG should include the ES44C4 with the LNG tanker. DTG could definitely add the SD40 as well, since it is on numerous other US freight routes. The GB4 could also be reintroduced on this route. In terms of the practicality of this route being added to the game, it is about 70 miles, making it logical enough for DTG to do. In terms of licensing, DTG has said nothing about whether or not they have an FEC or Brightline license, meaning they most likely do not have either license. However, only time will tell. Overall, this would be a great route to see get added to the game, as the route has great scenery, decent variety, and overall something new and different from most US routes. Originally, this was going to be part of a route suggestion talked about Amtrak Miami to West Palm Beach from TS1. However, as I was researching this route, I had to talk about the extension to Orlando for Brightline, as the route has one key difference that makes it very different from Miami to West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach to Orlando is an extension that is currently under construction. The extension is approximately 160 miles and currently contains 2 stations. 2 other stations are planned in Fort Pierce and Cocoa. Trains will be running along the FEC corridor between West Palm Beach and Cocoa, and then run on brand new track that is currently under construction to connect with Orlando International Airport. Unlike Miami to West Palm Beach, the top speed of this route will be 125 miles an hour. This will be seen between Cocoa and Orlando Airport. The rest of the line between Cocoa and West Palm Beach will be 110 miles per hour. With these speeds, travel times on this section of the route will be approximately 2 hours. This would change Brightline from an intercity passenger train to a higher speed rail passenger train. In terms of the scenery on this route, trains will travel through more open areas in smaller towns. They will also travel relatively close to the Indian River. Once trains reach Cocoa, trains will make a left-hand turn branching off of the FEC corridor and then race along Florida State Road 528 at 125 miles an hour. Trains will mostly be traveling through open land in this area as they are heading inland towards Orlando. This extension will also increase the length of Brightline trains from 4 cars to 7. Brightline will also receive 5 more train sets along with this extension. This means that this route could see even more services on it once it begins operation. The extension is planned to complete construction in late 2022 and begin operations in early 2023. With the possible increase in services with this extension, I think DTG is better off to wait for the completion of this extension so that there will be more services on both this route and Miami to West Palm Beach. In addition to the services for the Brightline depot in West Palm Beach, there will also be services going between Orlando and a new maintenance facility that is currently under construction just outside of the station. Going under the impression that the service count will double for Brightline, I could see between 75 to 90 playable passenger services including depot runs. In terms of freight, trains would be traveling between West Palm Beach and Cocoa. Most yards on this route are for local traffic such as the one at Brightline's maintenance facility, Fort Pierce Yard, and Cocoa Yard. This section of the route is an endpoint for some limestone trains, ending at Fort Pierce and Cocoa. There is also a small intermodal facility at Fort Pierce Yard. Local traffic and shunters would be serving these yards and the surrounding areas. I could see about 25 to 35 playable shunting and local services on this part of the route. For mainline freight, I would probably anticipate a similar service count to Miami to West Palm Beach, having about 10 to 20 mainline services and possibly some additional shunting services. Adding up all passenger and freight trains, I could see about 110 to 155 total services. As I mentioned before, revenue service for this section of the line will not begin operations until 2023. However, I think it is best if DTG waits for this project to be completed and builds one of the 2 routes, as it would allow for more train traffic and longer train consists. In terms of the practicality of this route being added to the game, it's fairly unlikely since the line is 160 miles. Travel times, however, are equivalent to some US freight routes, so I would say never when it comes to this route being added. Overall, this would be a great addition to the game since it will mostly focus around the gameplay on Brightline, as trains will travel at speeds of up to 125 miles an hour. Besides the Northeast Corridor, there are not a lot of higher speed rail lines in the US, so West Palm Beach to Orlando would make for a great addition to the game. If I was to pick which of these two routes I would want to see the most, I would probably go with West Palm Beach to Orlando. I personally think this route will be the more interesting route from a gameplay standpoint and a scenery standpoint. The 125-mile-an-hour action between Cocoa and Orlando could make for a very thrilling experience, along with the various freight traffic between West Palm Beach and Cocoa. This route has a lot of potential once it begins seeing regular service. Miami to West Palm Beach would also be a great option since it also has really nice scenery, along with the gorgeous Miami Central Station and numerous major yards for freight traffic. Brightline is the future of American train travel, so both of these routes would make for an amazing addition to TSW2 if they ever come to the game in the near future. Thank you for watching, guys. If you are new to the channel, consider liking the video and subscribing. My next route suggestion video will be talking about the Amtrak line between Miami and West Palm Beach, since I did not cover it in this video. Also, if you go down into the description, you guys can vote on the next route suggestion idea that to be added to my YouTube poll. Choose what route you would want to see me cover, and whatever gets the most votes by the time I upload the Miami to West Palm Beach video will be added to the YouTube poll. I thank all of you for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. This is Crazy Dash, peace out.